Well, let's get started.
Yeah.
Join me in the pledge. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Revenue and expenditures analysis.
Okay.
You're up, Michelle.
Thank you.
Yep. There we go. Smile.
Through May, the fiscal year is at 91.67% complete, and our revenues are at 88.7% of projections year to date. And using the average billing for June for the last 3 years, we should come in close to our total revenue projections, although water usage fluctuates from year to year, and we can have a range that can vary $60,000, $80,000, $100,000 even in a month's billing. So we could come under a few percentage points. We just won't know until the future month's billings come out and we adjust the estimated accruals we do for June. The expenses are at 84.7% of the budget. And we are all closely reviewing the expenditures through the end of the year to ensure that for the expense side, we do come under the total budget for the year. We have quite a few line items that will offset each other. But at the end of May, we had $531,000 still remaining for expenditures. But of this, there will be a $160,000 transfer to capital reserve funds. And our payroll will run about $90,000, which will leave $281,000 for other general operating expenses. And it should be noted for the capital reserve fund transfer, this will be the last year that there will be a transfer from the budget. In 2017, the New Hampshire law was clarified to establish that the only manner to transfer to capital reserve funds has to be a special warrant article. In the past, there have been various communities that would have the special warrant articles, but also have a transfer built into budget. And when DRA became aware of that, they worked to clarify the law so that it's always going to be a special warrant article going forward. But for this last year, they're going to allow the transfer, so that will be coming out effective for June.
So that means surpluses can no longer be transferred into the capital reserve?
No, it will all come from surplus. It will come from the accumulated surplus.
Right.
It won't come from the current. When we're voting on it, we would be in a current year, so we wouldn't have it built into that year's. We would always be looking at the accumulated as of the annual meeting.
Sure, but the only change really is that right now we could take a surplus and put it into the capital reserve fund, and in the future we need a warrant article to do the same thing.
Yes, we were
Well, it was a budgeted line.
It was a budgeted line item,
okay.
yes. So it was in the current year, it was sort of built into the budget.
Okay.
So we had the special warrant articles being transferred over, which we routinely have done, but we also had part of it in the current year budget, and that's no longer permissible.
Could we eliminate that 50,000 warrant article that caused so much confusion during the last
the contingency?
meeting? Right, as part of that, or is?
Well, it's a separate item. I mean, we can still include it, and we'll just have better support and explanation of it. We weren't aware that it was going to cause so many questions and confusion, but I think if we put it forward with detail provided, simple, straightforward detail provided supporting it, I think it's something that we could still include. We're ready for the questions now.
Right, exactly. Okay, all right, cool. Thank you.
Sure. Also, it should be noted that no entries have been made for the St. Gobain funds as of yet. The auditors are reviewing the agreement, and I'm also talking with DRA as far as their preferred handling of all the different transactions that will be coming through. So we'll be sorting that out, and we'll just do it as part of year-end audit entries. And are there any specific questions on anything from the financials?
Yeah, I had a few, just wanted to clarify.
Sure.
On the first page in the package, the water sales mercantile refund, is that the number from the school district?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, I started
That's what I
created refund line items so
Yeah.
that we'll always be able to see the refunds stand out from regular transactions going forward.
Very good.
And then further on down, there's a system development charge, 46,320. What was that a single charge, or what was that?
No, that's accumulated, that's year-to-date. For the entrance fees, when people come on, there's a system development charge. And that is the amount that every year we will do a special warrant article for, to request it be transferred into the capital reserve fund for system development charges.
Okay. And then at the bottom of that page, you've broken down the officer salaries and everything else. And then it looks like there was not a budget for each of those individual ones, but there was a total of $10,390. So we're pretty close to the total there, I think, 9472. I just was making sure that, because all the zeros for all the budget items.
Yes, you'd wanna look at the totals.
So it's the
Yes, in the
total.
past, the budget wasn't broken down at that level, but moving forward, we'll try to, as much as possible, put the budget in so that we have a line-by-line comparison versus.
All right, let's see what else. On that second page, the administrative overtime, it looks like it was quite a bit more than budgeted. Was there a specific, is that just the general PFOA issue that everybody's responding to, or what?
Well, no, we also had 2 administrative staff leave last
yeah.
April, unexpectedly. So with the new staff coming on and all the training, plus with all the different issues that we were addressing, that's what that has been from. But it has been coming down, and we will be adding on a part-time person. So in this future year, we budgeted 10,000 overtime for the year. So we feel like we'll be able to work within that range once we get everyone up to speed and get a new person on board.
Okay. And then I just noted too that it looked like the electricity number in item line 60,000
Yes.
is quite a bit under, which is good. I just wanted to kind of point that out. Is that's?
But we have had years where the number was close to the budgeted
Yeah.
number, and where it's such an unknown, we're building in that possibility
Yeah.
since
All right.
since we can't be sure. Yeah, but this year we will probably only have about another, say, 18,000-20,000 for June, so we will be over in that number.
We really didn't have any history on the treatment plant yet either, so that was another one we wanted to make sure we're covered for.
Yeah. Okay. And then on page 3, there's a lot of references to R&M. I wasn't sure what that meant.
Repair and maintenance.
Okay. Yeah, the only other question I had is the line item 81,900 for engineering. Those total to 89,96. I just wasn't sure what engineering that was. Is that everything that's beyond the engineering services requests that we do? Or is that, I mean, it's $9,000, and I would have thought that was a very low number.
Well, the PFOA engineering that was being reimbursed went to the receivable. It wasn't expensed to us. So all of the time that Underwood spent in EGGI related to that went straight to the receivable, since we knew that was being reimbursed. So these are just expenses after that fact, and then for miscellaneous other engineering projects.
Okay. And then the last, towards the bottom of that page, it was under legal fees, professional legal fees. It looks like that's a $68,989, and I know we budgeted 11,000, so obviously we're over on that. But
We had unexpected legal fees that came in for this year, so.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Okay. Just kind of pointing that out for the video mostly too, just so people can understand.
Sure.
And then on page 4, towards the top, there's a line item for Thomas Road. What is that, Ron?
That was an extension we did, that the board had voted last year to extend water service down Thomas Road. There was the year that we had the drought, there was numerous wells that had gone dry in that area, so.
Oh, okay.
Just
Where's Thomas Road? I'm not even sure.
It's up by the lake.
Oh, right.
Villiage Lake.
Okay. I just didn't know where that was. I was curious. But that's all I have for that.
Okay, anyone else have any other questions? Thank you.
Sure. We're going to non-public.
I'll accept the motion.
Motion to go non-public.
Second.
Second.
There's just some clarification on, Jamie's and as to, like, the wells 4 and 5 are permitted to produce 870 gallons per minute, that, number 4, page 4, that goes into page 5, he just did, some additional explanations in there.
I see the word results was added, I flagged that one too, so, on page 5. Second paragraph, second line, so that's
Yeah.
been updated, so that's good.
Yeah, there's just there's nothing changed to the substance of it, it's just the language. There is a typo in here though on page 5.
Yeah, the whole
Should be possible LE, not possible EL.
Yeah.
Where,
Second line's the
Right.
first full paragraph.
Yep. And then what is that in C2?
It starts EGGI is in the process, that paragraph.
Okay.
Second line, second sentence,
Oh, yeah.
possible, it may be possible.
okay, so and then Wolf,
What is that in the first paragraph? And hence,
PFOS.
the goal is to
PFOA.
delete the PFOS PFOA in C2. What's that
In
supposed?
situ means in
Right.
place,
In place.
in the ground.
Yeah,
Oh,
That's what that word means. It's like a,
not a word I would have
it's
used.
a geotechnical civil engineering word.
I don't have to be completely dumb. Thank you.
10 cent word.
Yep.
5th paragraph down, it says, at the 3rd line says PFOS, PFOS, it should be PFOA, PFOS.
And can you take the in that first
Yeah.
partial paragraph, can you take that period
out.
out and maybe make it a comma?
Yeah.
Although I don't think the comma's needed either.
Right.
Okay.
Down here, location, done prior. You see that?
Yeah.
You got it?
Is this where we can actually propose changes here, or are we just going through the changes between?
Can we have a motion first, I think?
I'll motion to accept the minutes.
Motion to accept the minutes.
Well, if you want to make changes.
Second, for
Okay.
discussion, yep. All right, on the new
Oh,
copy, I just had a couple other changes, if that's all right.
Okay, go ahead.
On page 5, just above the second paragraph to the end, right after it finishes speaking about artificial recharge could be stored, if we could put another paragraph in there, I think I do remember saying that I stated that artificial recharge at well 3 would be by gravity, not requiring a pump and recharge system. I'm trying to draw the distinction between artificial recharge at well 3 and the one he's talking about at wells 4 and 5.
Do you have that written out? We can read it again, or?
I do.
Okay.
So you can add in there, the preventer stated that AR for artificial recharge at well 3 would be by gravity, not requiring a pump and recharge system. If you could put that in there.
Can I have a change on that same page before we move on, maybe, please?
Okay.
If you don't mind.
Okay, so I'm the one, I make the changes and I don't do shorthand, so hang on.
Yeah, you can read it again.
I can write it for you too.
Deep Venture stated artificial recharge at well 3 would be at
By
By
gravity.
gravity.
high gravity. Not requiring a pump and recharge system? Okay.
You had one?
Yeah, once she's ready.
Okay.
Same page, next paragraph, last paragraph, page 5. Wir concerned question whether there's an understanding of the contamination of the ground at wells 4 and 5. I think what I actually asked was, in part of the artificial recharge or gravity recharge, do we have an understanding not of the ground right at these wells, but more the area that we would use to recharge, which might be surrounding the areas or, a little bit further back, further away from wells 4 and 5. It's really not the area, surrounding the wellheads or the pump stations. It's where we would.
It's the location of
It's
the
the location
recharge.
where we would feed in the
The
recharge.
recharge, yeah.
And if that soil
So,
possibly be contaminated, and if we have an understanding.
So if we add in after wells 4 and 5, question whether there is an understanding of the contamination of the ground at wells 4 and 5.
Where,
you
Where
can
the
say.
where
proposed-
wells 4 and 5 would be
At
recharged.
the proposed recharge site for
Right.
wells 4 and
Okay.
5.
Correct, yeah,
That's what you were trying to say.
right, yeah. The point was, are we picking up any contamination by recharging 4 and 5?
Okay.
Thank you.
And I think I just had one other one, right at the end of section 5 on page 6, right before number 6. I thought it would be good to note here that Mike Metcalf handed a draft proposal to the commissioners in MVD, to include a cost estimate of GAC treatment at all wells. Remember he handed us that draft proposal? I think that's where he handed it to us. I just thought that would be important to know because it was something we acted on at the subsequent meeting. Which
So
was,
Mike Metcalf provided a draft proposal.
yeah, for estimating the cost of GAC treatment at all wells. There were other things in the scope of work, but I think that was the general purpose of his draft proposal.
Not including 4 and 5. Just
Right.
2, 3, 7, 8, right?
Right. I was kinda, on one other thing I have, on page 7, it's, on the new minutes, it's the third paragraph on page 7. Kind of in the middle, it says nothing has been proven at the other wells to date. I think I wanted to clarify that, because I wasn't exactly sure what nothing meant. I believe we were talking about, like, no responsible parties have been
Correct.
identified?
Yep.
Is that what we were talking about?
Yep.
So maybe we say, instead of saying nothing has been proven, maybe
Right.
just say no responsible parties
Yeah.
have been identified.
Agreed.
And actually on that last sentence, maybe we can say he noted Mitchell Woods is the closest to the landfill and it has clean water. I think we were implying it was PFC clean, or was it just everything in general? I think it was.
I would
yeah.
agree with it.
We were talking about
Yeah,
PFOA,
it was-
PFOS,
yes.
yeah.
So we noted that Mitchell Woods is closest to the landfill and free of PFAS.
Yeah, that sounds good. got one more, if you can indulge me. In the last paragraph, right before number 10, it says, Deep Venture question whether Fidelity has been approached. And I think we want, maybe just add in there to change their de-icing practices, just to clarify that a little bit. And that's all I have.
We have any more?
Good.
Good. You're all set?
Yep, thanks. So we'll vote to approve as amended?
As amended.
Aye.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Approves it. Next item. You're up, Michelle. Review of the Merrimack Village District investment policy.
Yes. So you have before you the existing investment policy. We haven't made any changes. There are a few RSA references in conjunction with the village district. RSA's also had included some town and city ones, which we just removed, just to clarify that it's just for village districts. But otherwise, this is how the policy has stood for several years. Did anyone have any questions or comments?
Is this agenda item just an annual one that recurs, or? Okay.
Yes.
Just
Yep.
to
Just outlining.
shake it up a little bit and see if.
Yeah, just an annual review if there's anything that throughout the year we've decided we wanna change. Like currently, our investment fund, the policy is that we go with the public deposit pool. If we were to do some research and decide we might want to look into utilizing another avenue, another type of investment, that's something that would need to be changed, but at present, that has been the focus for investment.
What changes were made between this copy and from today and the copy from the package? Just the RSA's that were referenced?
No.
Well, that was changed from last year, but, the back page, at the last paragraph just had the wrong meeting date on there
Okay.
and the wrong fiscal year, so that was just fixed.
Okay. Motion to accept?
Yep. Second? You second?
Second.
Motion seconded. All those in favor of the new investment policy? Say aye.
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 There you go.
Okay, thank you. And are you reviewing on Saco-Bain?
What's that?
Saco-Bain. I don't have a copy of Saco-Bain. Or are you guys just reviewing that?
Item 3.
No, so,
Ginny Ritter.
why don't you just explain what the auditors had told us?
Oh, sure. And speaking with the auditors about the Saint-Gobain settlement, they just said that while we have made public announcements at one of our meetings, we should acknowledge the settlement, and the commissioners should vote to accept it. You know, everyone had actually already signed off on
Oh, we
the
already
actual
did that.
settlement.
I was gonna say,
Not
Yeah,
in a meeting.
That's what the auditors want us to do, so we
It
just.
doesn't make any sense. Everybody signed it, so I would think that would be.
They said that this is just more of a public forum for us to reiterate that and acknowledge it. So they suggested that we do that.
Okay.
So
You have
we just need a
motion,
vote.
do you have it written out, what you wanted to say?
I am a little, to be honest, I'm not comfortable with that,
No?
because, well, I mean, it was negotiated by parties
Prior to.
outside of our, without our presence, and like you said, it's signed.
Yeah.
It was announced at the annual meeting.
Can we put this to another meeting?
Sure,
With
I can
more
review.
board
Yeah.
members and then.
Yeah.
Full
Okay.
board.
Yeah,
Okay.
I'm really not.
Sure, no,
100%
and I can
comfortable
review
right now.
further
Yeah.
and also note that there has been change in the board of
Yeah.
commissioners.
Would you agree with that?
So that, perhaps if they were looking for the sign up, it would be the
Bring it back
three
when there's all five of us.
existing,
Yeah.
okay.
Cause then
Well,
you have a
certainly.
majority of the people present for the last
Right,
agreement.
so you could
It
be,
would-
you'd be able to
Yeah.
Abstain,
Right,
Yeah.
that would be,
certainly.
I think, more suitable.
All right,
Good point, yeah.
you're all done.
Okay, very good, thank you.
Old business. I'm old, but.
Me too.
Join the
What are we
club.
gonna talk about?
No old business, but we do
No
have
old
some new
business.
business stuff.
New business.
New business.
So I've made some notes from just the
Mhm.
few emails that we've received, so, meeting times is something that we wanted to, a couple of members of the board wanted to discuss, so.
Yeah, basically the idea was, you know, I know good old Facebook is not everybody's friend, but it is entertaining to read, to say the least. And you obviously get a feel for some opinions out there, and some opinions repeat. You know, some opinions are repeated. And I don't think they're new. One of the complaints is that a 4 o'clock meeting is, for most people that have a daytime job, it's hard to meet. And I think one of the complaints is, why do we have a public session, a non-public session with an undetermined length of time, and then another public session? And I think there was a complaint that was brought forth last year. It's a complaint that's still brought forth this year. So one of the questions or suggestions that I would like to make is, can we follow suit what the town council does and do the non-public session first with a fixed time slot that we may or may not need? Worst case, we have a cup of coffee in between, and if we take more time than that, I personally would be absolutely willing to have another session like we had last week, and rather focus on that then, you know, without having that intermingled with the public session. Again, that's my opinion, my position. It may not be what the rest of the board wants to do or what the organization wants to do, but it would take out some of that concern, and would allow us to officially start the public session at 5 o'clock, for example, which I think is not unreasonable. And you know, make it a firm start for the public session, and then continue with the public session in one shot until we're done.
It's rare that we have two non-public sessions. Typically, if we do, it's because of timing, whether we have our legal at one time or we
Right.
have something else at one time. It's not very often split, it's all scheduling. So typically, the financial section would go first, and then the non-public session. So the meeting is intended to start, you know, a little bit later, depending on how long our non-public session goes and our financials go. It's just, we typically don't nail down a slot, because this is an appointment with somebody else, whether it be legal or whoever we're having
Right.
in for it.
But could we move, like today, the financial and human resources review, could we move that to the end of the non-public session? So we don't have this on, off, on kind of thing that we have right now in all meetings that I've attended to?
Well, we have, if I can say this,
Mhm.
financial and human resources, they work here for the daytime, and it's supposed to be done at 4:30.
Okay,
That's why we start at 4 o'clock, so they can come down and do the financial report at 4 o'clock,
okay,
and they go home without having to pay them overtime.
okay.
So, we could move the non-public session to later on, but we're kind of more or less, at the, mercy of the attorneys if they wanna meet. Their time is valuable, and usually they have to be out elsewhere later on at night at other meetings. So do our engineers. A lot of times they'll come to the meeting here at 4, and they'll leave here at 5:30. They have another meeting to go to, 6:30. So, that's some of the reasons why we have this set up the way we do.
I think those are fair reasons. I'm just not sure if, you know, if we can maintain that for the public. The feedback that we get is not a good one on that one. You know, this is an ongoing complaint.
Yeah,
So,
Yes, sir.
I being the new finance person, I can create flexibility in my schedule to work with
I
a different
was
schedule if,
thinking of maybe
that would-
possibly the same thing, there'd be a late start on the following
whatever we need to do.
Tuesday.
It's up for debate. You
I-
heard my position,
Yeah.
my opinion, and it's one out of many. So feel free to chime in.
I remember before I sat here and I used to come to some of the meetings, I'd come here and, be here for a few minutes, then you have to go leave for an hour sometimes and then come back in again, and I don't know, I agree, I think I'd like it to be, non-public session 4 to 5, if we can start the public session at 5, and if there's a lag time in there, I don't know, it's just, we might be sitting here for half an hour waiting for 5 o'clock to come, which is unfortunate, because nothing's happening at that time. Or if we start at 4 and the non-public goes till after 5, I don't think that would be a big deal. I prefer to get the whole thing done. Maybe if it even lasts a little bit after 5, at least people are only waiting for 10-15 minutes as opposed to, a whole hour, I guess. But if we could do the non-public first, and that would give people an opportunity to show up out at, maybe after work a little. It's still not as easy to show up as a 5 o'clock meeting, but it's easier than a 4 o'clock meeting, so I think it would probably all kind of equal out, because the non-publics do usually last about an hour, I guess, when we do have them. And I guess if we don't have a non-public
We can
session
start
that day,
4:30.
we'll just start,
Sorry.
Later or
Right.
something, but.
Correct.
I guess what I'm saying is I'd like to see a set time for the public session to start, so the public knows when they should get here if they wanna come.
I thought, that by putting out the agenda, we were kind of giving them that feel that, like today,
Yeah.
we wouldn't be starting until 4:30, and if it did go a little bit later, cause people don't typically, come in for the financial review, and that's why, with the agenda out there, we thought this isn't something that the public would be hearing in non-public, so by putting the agenda out there, it would give people an idea of what time we're going to be starting the regular session, so, people show up early, which is fine.
And we could do that, we could say, that's maybe something for the public to give feedback on, if that's one thing that works or not. We could still, continue to do the financial and just basically say, all the things that concern the public more than anything are starting officially.
I think.
I guess at 5 then, right?
Yeah, I guess that's my thing, is
Right.
if we could just make it a set time for the public session to start. Like today was scheduled at 4:35, if it's always at 5 o'clock, I just think it's easier. The main concern I hear with these meeting times is people are working and they can't come, which is true. I work for myself. I took an hour out of work to get here early. I don't have a boss, so it's easier to do that, but most people aren't in that situation. That being said, there's nobody here tonight, so that doesn't help the case either, but.
True. True.
And I don't know if nobody's here because they can't be here, or they just don't wanna come, I don't know, but I guess if we could make it start at 5 and we still don't get people showing up, then, we can reconsider it later. But I'd be okay with changing to have the public session start at 5. I don't think it's much of a change than what we're already doing,
I
honestly.
don't have a problem with that.
Yeah,
I just would like to have the full board vote on it.
Mm-hmm.
yeah, I can understand that.
That's fine.
I'm not 100% sure, Joe. I think if you can correct me if I'm wrong, typically stuff in new business doesn't is not voted on. It's usually would be an agenda item. Am I correct?
New business, yeah.
With stating that, new business stuff that we talk about usually will come up again in the next meeting as an agenda item to be voted on.
Under
It
old
could be,
business.
yeah.
But either way, it's fair.
I'd like to bring it up again for the next
I
time
think-
of meeting.
Yeah,
right.
that's
I think it's fair to respect.
just because
the other people's-
it wasn't on the agenda for people to come in to speak to if they wanted to come in to talk to something like that. So
That's a good point, and if someone wants to voice their opinion about
Right.
this
Yeah.
item,
Right.
they have a chance to do it
Be
in
on
the
the
next
agenda.
meeting.
it wasn't on the agenda. That's
Yeah.
what I was.
And again, to be concise, the idea is that we hold the financials and the non-public session whenever we basically wanna start, depending on the amount of subjects we need to discuss, between 4 and 4:30. And the public session starts at 5 p.m. sharp, period, right? Is that the idea?
Well, yeah, depending on what would input on public for.
Right.
Yeah.
And and then we discuss it next time when we have
Yeah.
the presence.
And I'd be willing to vote on it, even if it's,
Sure.
we don't have everybody here, cause at some point, we gotta, we can't keep kicking the can down the road, it'd be good to make a decision, so, but yeah, definitely the next meeting, I think we should.
I guess if it's in the agenda, everybody knows that it's a subject on the agenda, and can decide if they can be here or not, or if it's important enough to be here.
Right.
Then we can make a go from there.
All right,
So we'll consider this as old business at the next meeting.
be on the
Either
agenda.
or I
Actually,
can- I can-
specific agenda.
Yeah.
Agenda item. Very good.
Yeah, okay.
One of the other notes I added in for new business was Channel 20. That was
Yeah,
your
yeah.
request to,
Did you,
That
I
discussion.
didn't hear back from anything.
I didn't receive anything back either. We can certainly,
I think just today, I went on the website, I was looking for, maybe Eileen might, what I'm thinking is they probably just don't check that email at Merrimack TV possibly, cause somebody would've probably got back to me and said, I'm looking into, so for what I asked was, if these meetings that are videoed here, that go to townhallmeetings.com, or wherever it
Streams, yeah,
goes,
yeah.
town streams,
Yeah.
town hall streams,
Yeah.
if those could get downloaded and played on channel 20, which is the town government channel that has all of the other town board meetings. And I didn't hear back from anybody, so today I just, I copied that email and I sent it to Eileen. I don't know if she's the one that maybe oversees the Merrimack TV cable department or anything, but I just figured I'd, see if someone could answer me on that. Now, I don't know if there's copyright issues from the provider that records these meetings, if they would be willing to give the video out. I don't see why they wouldn't, but,
I don't know anything about how
I don't
that works
either,
as
I'm
far as
just-
copying and stuff, but
Yeah.
I can check with
'Cause
Eric. Nick is the one that's over at Merrimack TV.
Right. so I don't think you can download these videos, I think you can just view them, right?
You need like a
A capture
app,
thing,
you
screen
can
capture
right,
or something,
Yeah, there's apps where you can download the stream.
Right,
But,
so we gotta make sure that that's acceptable to be done,
But it's
I
public
guess.
records too, so there shouldn't be any copyrights, period.
Right.
So.
Okay, well, that's good. I was trying to think if there's a
Not-
reason
not
why
lawyer, but-
we couldn't do it,
yeah, I don't know, there might be something on their end that they.
technology-wise
Yeah,
or something.
They might be able to do, I don't know.
I mean, I've got video capture software on my computer, so I'm sure they must have that, Nick must have that or something, so. Yeah, I didn't hear any follow-up to it, but I followed up on it today myself, cause I didn't hear anything, and I looked back and I sent the original email out on June 8th, so it's been 10 days. I would have expected somebody to say, I'm looking into it, or we can't do it, or we can do it, or whatever, So, hopefully I'll have a follow-up for the next meeting.
The other note I had was odd even.
Oh, yeah.
There's a lot of debate about that, and there's some real specialists out there too that have strong opinions. But I guess the recurring questions are, for example, why do we have a water ban if we have new communities going up left and right in large numbers, right? How do we monitor drought situations? How do we anticipate them and so on? So I guess the idea was to avoid that this fine lady gets all these calls and Michelle gets all these calls. So I'm sure they really enjoy screening. Would it make sense to put like an extensive FAQ or something like that page? And this might be it already.
That's why
Right.
I gave you that,
Yeah.
because this is oops, sorry. This is on the website and it's under the watering section. So if you scroll through, it gives you the odd even watering schedule, what type of watering is
Right.
restricted, when you can water. So a lot of the information is on here already, but if there's something specific,
I've been trying to play that advocate out there a little bit because it's sometimes annoying to read some of the stuff in my spare time.
Yeah.
I decided to act in that like that for a little bit cautiously, but it's questions like, again, I went through this multiple times, and I think you guys already made some changes since the last email that I sent about this, and I think this is informative, but it's it's things like how does the MAD assess a drought situation? How does it monitor and look forward? What kind of dials does it use and indicators does it use to determine what actions need to be taken? That's a question more for me really, or for us as new commissioners, I guess.
So one thing, and I don't, was it added today? So the state has a drought.
Again.
Was that, it did?
I emailed it to Amy, so it might be on the website already.
Okay, so the state has a different tiers that they follow for droughts and stuff. A couple of years back, I think it was 2011, possibly, we kind of adapted our odd even, so let me step back. Technically, we have a water restrictions year round, just odd even. But we didn't have anything to go kind of in parallel with the state. So if there's like a level 1 restriction, then this is what we do, and that's when the times come in and all that. So that is going to actually be hitting the website as well.
Mm-hmm. So we align the state level together with our timed watering, not just odd and even, but also
Yes.
timed 5 to 8 and so on.
Yes.
So we align these with each other. Yeah. Okay. So
Isn't
when the
there
state
go ahead.
when the state issues a certain drought level
Right.
note or whatever that is, announcement, then we engage with ours,
Correct.
with our escalation level basically.
I mean, we also monitor our monitor. We have monitoring wells all over that we actually monitor all the time, and we know where our levels are at, and
Mm-hmm.
if there's a whole chart that we have, if we're to what level that when a water level hits a certain point, if it's critical levels or whatnot. So we stay ahead of the game. And,
During the summer, Jason goes out every single week and he turns in those levels, and then I put them into the computer and they go off to Emery and Garrett, and they're in there. Emery and Garrett. So the engineers have that too. There's constant information going to them. So they're watching the levels, we're watching the levels.
Okay.
Treatment watches the tank levels. It's over the summer. It's constant monitoring.
That's what I was wondering, if it was just based on, I know that drought index you're talking about, I think there's like 4 or 5 levels to it or something like that. And I didn't know if different levels that we have were tied into that. I kind of like the fact that it's tied into something more local, because that's really what's important, is what's going on in our own wells. So I think that's a good idea, to look at the water levels, because that's really when we gotta start saying, hey, hold on, we're getting impacts here on the water levels, or so we need to start curtailing the demand. But as far as what we have instituted, there's a continuous, just odd, even watering restriction, and then the next level would be the 5 to 8 a.m. on those odd, even days in PM.
the next level up, it was no watering from 5 to 7 p.m. I'm sorry, 8 a.m. to 7 p.m.
5 p.m. 5 p.m.
We've initiated times in there for the weekends. I'm trying to remember it all. Not for the weekends, but for the 31st of each, not each month, because it's
Right, the ones that have 31st.
31, yeah. Everybody can water from 5 to 8 p.m. We have thrown in times when we've had to increase this restrictions. I'd like to make a point, like right now we are on Pennachuck. We've had the Pennachuck pit on for about a week now. We just can't keep up, and we've been trying to patrol to try to get everything in check. And we have the water. It's the odd even. As long as we can get everybody following the odd even, there's enough water for everybody. I don't want to say there's enough water. We can get it. We can manage it. We can keep we may be running 24/7, but we're satisfying. It can go crazy, and lawns were burning up early this year, and I think
But I have to admit, I'm a little bit confused, because in the last meeting last Wednesday, we went through the maximum pump rates in 2016, right?
Yeah.
And we did that projection with the new apartments that the gentleman here presented. And you know, we had room to grow into that, you know,
Right.
production volume. Okay, so
Right.
so we had the production volume despite the additional housing and development that's coming here the next 2 or 3 years, right? But I'm hearing now that we're using Penachuk because we can't keep up with it. So is it a matter of production because we can pump it fast enough, but the water's there?
the water is there. We
Okay.
just can't, when
Pump it
everybody
fast
is
enough.
watering and it's all going out on lawns.
Right.
You know, we can go anywhere from 2.5 million gallons a day, winter use, to 5 million during the summer. So
Right.
it's all lawn watering. But it's, you know, if when we get enough rain, or periods of rainfall, and people are abiding by the odd even, it's manageable. But if somebody, you know, people can water all day, and it just things really go crazy.
The thing is too, their tank level was dropping, and then it was recovering, and then dropping and recovering. It just dropped a little bit too far below that for us to recover from, so if there was a major fire event, it would have just drained the tank. That's what, I mean, we've got water, potable water to drink from. It's planning ahead for any sort of large fire event.
It's important to point out, obviously, just so everybody knows, watching us, wells 4 and 5 are offline.
Right.
And so that's the reason right there, we definitely need to conserve, because we don't have our full source capacity available right now.
Correct. And even with the Penachuk pit that we're using, we're not, with 4 and 5, we have 870 gallons a minute. We only have 700 gallons a minute from Penachuk pit, so there is a little
Okay.
gap there.
Yeah. Are any other wells out of service right now, like 7 and 8? I know 7, we cleaned it recently. That's back online again?
Everything is online that can be online.
Yeah, okay. So 2, 3, 7, and 8 are
Yep, they've been.
are on.
And we just hit the 6-month mark with the wetlands monitoring program for Mitchell Woods, so we have another 6 months to go to our second quarter, and then we'll be developing that well.
Yeah.
So that'll be in the works as well. It's like 200 gallons.
It's
I say it's 300 gallons a minute, I
So a
believe.
supplement.
Yeah.
So to summarize, the answer to these questions is the projections that Underwood presented last week are including 4 and 5 being back online, right?
Yes, I believe. Yes.
Right? Those, if I remember that right. So basically, right now in that bind, that 4 and 5 are not online. We don't yet have to serve the housing that's coming up here over the next 2 years. And with the current supply, without 4 and 5, we really couldn't, without, at least not on rough days, on high consumption days, right?
Right, we do struggle on the days where it's a dry, we go through the dry period, and possibly a drought coming up. I'm not saying we're getting a drought, but yes, we would struggle.
Okay. I'm not sure if I want to put that into FAQs, because it's a temporary thing, obviously, and we can FAQs answer ourselves probably to the end of our lifetime. But I mean, this is, these are probably, positions that the MVD should define for us as, as commissioners, or for you guys in the office, when these questions come, that we have these answers readily available, because I didn't have that readily available. When these complaints come in, I don't know if this is something, if you guys get repeat questions of the same nature, maybe this is something that you can share with us, so we can, we have the information when we're being approached, because we are being approached as individuals. Especially now, being new in this position, people approach us. And not that I want to blurt this out to everybody out on the internet, but if neighbors are asking me, if people are asking me, I would like to know the answer, instead of guessing and giving out false information. So we may not need to put this on the website, but it might be something internally that we can communicate, hey, by the way, these are questions that came up repeatedly lately, we talked about this internally with the team. The true answer is the following, in case somebody approaches you, now you know. I think that would be super helpful.
You don't know what you don't know until you don't know.
That's right, yeah, and I'm learning a lot doing this
Happy to
area
answer
now,
anything.
The last thing I have, for a note on the new business is, the July meeting. I
Right.
know-
Well, Exeter. The Exeter meeting.
I'm sorry, yes, the Exeter meeting, I have it in my calendar already to attend myself, so.
Oh,
if
good.
any,
Well, it could be interesting for people to attend. So you would go?
Yeah, I was gonna actually go up, to the 10 o'clock, the
The
4:30
Monday afternoon?
to 10 o'clock,
The
to see
Monday
what's going
afternoon
on.
That's like a public comment period or something, right?
Yeah.
Is that the one on the 25th,
Yeah.
the
Yes.
Monday?
They have
Yeah.
two sessions.
Right, and then
Yeah.
there's a working session or something on the
Tuesday
26th.
morning.
Yeah, 8 to 3 or something like that.
Yeah, I see Lorraine Allen had emailed it to us on May 31st, and that was in your board packets too, under additional information.
Mhm.
Yep, I see it here.
But I mean, if board members wanna go as well,
Well, maybe we can talk about it offline then.
Okay.
I'm not sure if I'm available, but if I am, I would like to go. Just for
Yeah.
Does anybody know who from the town is going?
I don't.
Nancy Harrington is going.
Nancy?
Yep. Finley is going.
Finney's going?
And Bill was gonna try to attend.
It would just be nice to be on the same level of information. That's why I kind of would like to
Eileen,
suggest
I'm
to
sorry,
go.
Eileen is going also.
Oh, town manager, okay.
I'm curious if they have a proposal to speak at that, or are they just gonna listen? I don't know.
They're gonna be limited to 3 minutes, I
Yeah.
believe, on the comment, and
Right,
As far as I know, the town was not speaking,
okay,
as far as I know.
yep.
It's my understanding there's 5 meetings around the country? 4 or 5 meetings.
I think there are 5.
Yeah,
So it'll be a while before they make a decision. At least a year or more.
Yeah.
Wow.
okay.
At least, right.
There's also a meeting at the 26th, that Tuesday night, at the library.
The library.
And that's, I believe, with Citizens for Clean Water, and I think Pete from the town council's going to that. And I was planning to attend that meeting as well.
Can you share that maybe? What kind of meeting is that, I'm sorry?
It's that, the one that we're trying to get together with Bill Boyd and Pete from the town council.
Oh, that one, yes, yeah.
And then somebody from
Right.
MVD.
Right,
And then the Citizens for Clean Water, I think are the
Right.
ones.
where we would take a passive role.
Right, and that was where we're just gonna kinda go and kinda listen and not, have a lot to offer, but just to kinda listen where the concerns are and kinda get the feel for, what people are talking about. Talk to the town council, see what they have to say. I don't know if anybody else is planning to attend, but I'll go to that. It's an evening meeting anyway. I think it's at 7
7.
PM, the lower level of the library. So I'll plan to go there if anybody I think it's open for anybody to go, I believe, so I'll be going to that.
Maybe to backtrack, we made a comment earlier about the Exeter meeting. For the record. People will maybe not know what that is. It's the EPA's invitation for a PFAS community engagement meeting for New England, which takes place 6/25, 6/26 in Exeter, New Hampshire, so.
It's at the high school.
Exeter High School. Is you think they're doing a meeting at each EPA region, most
Yes,
likely?
yes.
Is that what they're doing? Okay, I didn't know that.
Going around the country.
Yeah,
The first one's New England,
oh, all right,
because we're the leading edge of it.
yeah.
That's right.
Good.
Okay.
Lastly, I have, for notes, the July meeting. Typically in the past, we've, because of vacations and all of that, we have not had a July meeting. I just wanted to throw that out to the board to see if that's something that,
I know I'm not gonna be around. Chip isn't, and Tony isn't, so,
Would be 16, right? July 16?
whatever.
Yes.
Third Monday.
Yeah.
I'd be available right now.
I think I am too. I'm not doing much this year. We sold my camper, so I'm not gonna be doing any camping, but
Steal it for you.
but if we're not gonna have a quorum, then I guess.
I mean, you can still
Yeah.
meet, but you can't
Right.
vote on
Right.
anything
Right.
or do anything.
I don't know if there's an ulterior date that would work with anybody, we could try to work out, but if not, that's, that's fine too.
I'm gone for the whole month.
Lucky you.
I'm retired.
Yeah.
I mean, if anything comes up, we can also communicate by email.
Yep.
Or
yeah,
by
I
phone.
know definitely, we do keep the board informed during that period. If there's anything that comes up, we do
Okay.
get board packets out
And-
or emails.
That is one more question that I would like to have answered. We're having a lot of communication by email with, the four of us. I'm not sure if you or Tony or Chip are using email or not. I just didn't want to cut anybody out of these communications,
Nope.
without at least you guys being aware of it.
And the communication is things like we were talking about tonight, so it's
Yeah.
something
Right.
that they're asking questions
Right.
about, can give general questions, but board decisions still come to the board
Yeah,
meeting.
yeah, of course.
So it's not,
Basically,
anything-
they turn into topics of discussion at these meetings,
Yeah,
so.
correct. I just
giving
want,
more information about the MVD and how we do things, and so it's not anything that's confidential.
Yeah.
no. But I also wanted to be transparent that we're having these conversations
Mhm.
with, with not every board member involved, so.
Which I think tonight we covered all of them.
Yeah,
Just
we
on your
did.
list there, which is
We
good.
did.
Whenever we have a question like that, write it down and we can talk about it at these meetings. That way everybody's up to speed on everything. It's a great idea.
Cool.
Jim, just the email, if there's more than 3 board members.
There isn't
Issue.
yet. Right now it's only 2.
Yeah, but they're not making any decisions
They're
or
not
anything, the decisions are.
they're not discussing.
No, it's just
No.
Dawn and Wolf asking
Right.
like how the MVD, how we handle odd even, that type of thing. It's
Even by
not-
email, if there are 3 board members,
Right.
you just do
It's
have to.
considered a meeting or
Yeah,
something.
yeah,
Yeah.
yes.
Yeah.
It's ridiculous.
Understood, yeah.
Yeah.
So it's a good thing you're not on this.
So maybe.
I'm gonna cut
There
you
are
out.
other
Maybe just me and you
reasons.
then.
That's right, that's why Michelle sends out individual emails about payroll.
Yeah.
Labor intensive, but.
Yeah,
Is that it for new business?
that's it for new business.
Do you have a superintendent's report?
I have couple things. Mitchell Woods, Jill had mentioned that's the 1 year,
so-
yeah, I know, you ruined my report again.
Still yes, I know.
Mitchell Woods is the 1 year long wetlands monitoring is halfway done, so that'll be 6 months more to go, and we can start working on that, getting the well done. CCR postcard, mailing is going out Wednesday the 6/20. So this is something new we're doing this year. Typically, we've always mailed out CCR.
Oh, so it's just
It's just
one shape,
a
one
lot
page,
cheaper.
yeah.
And it's got information on it, direct links to access the CCR, request copies, that kind of stuff, so that'll be,
Frank at Paper Graphics got pretty fancy there with the barcode thing there.
Yeah. The scan bar.
Yeah, I don't know how to work it, but it looks pretty.
Yeah.
You gotta have a phone.
Just an app on your phone.
Oh, is it?
Yeah. And it takes you right to the website instead of having to type in
Oh.
neorg.org. That's really all it does.
There's actually one thing on here with, the violation of other information, 129. Water system was issued a notice of violation for failure to monitor and report with chlorine. If we have something like happening, do we send out a notice then with the water bill, for example, or?
Not for reporting violation.
Okay.
No, because all that was is just we'd done everything, but the report was submitted late because my fault, I got it scanned in but didn't get it out.
Right, I remember
So-
us talking about that, but wasn't it also one where the chlorine concentration was too high?
No, nope, it was all about chlorine residuals, so so every time Jason does a bacteria sample, he checks the chlorine residual, we have those for the month, for both sessions of sampling. And then at the end of the quarter, it gets averaged, put into a report and sent up to DES. There was no report, there's no sampling violations, nothing like that. If there were a sampling violation, that's when it has to go out.
Right. Okay, so in other words, if we do have, so this was a procedural error, really.
Right,
Not a
administrative.
contamination issue, it was a procedural error.
Yep.
Okay.
So, yeah.
So when we have a contamination issue, that's when we actually do send out
Absolutely.
Yes.
notifications to our
Boil and
customers.
order notifications, there's all kinds of requirements on how we have to get it out to the
Excuse me.
press, that we have to notify individually. It's, if you have boil it or something like that.
Right. Okay.
So there's been no too high level of chlorine or too low level that was a
No, everything's been
violation?
submitted
It's
to
just-
DES, the only thing we got was a reporting violation.
Oh, interesting. There's definitely some misinformation out there then. Good to know.
Anything else?
So we're printing about 100 of those to have at the office in case anybody wants to come in and pick them up or doesn't have web access. We should have those by the end of this week. Because we're due to get everything, the notifications have to be out by July 1st and so we decided to do every resident, not just MVD customers, so that we cover everybody.
Should we offer to, if
In
they
business.
can't come here, they don't have access to the computer to get online, that they can call and we can mail them
Yep.
this thing?
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Alright. Be good.
So, Saco Bay Performance Plastics submitted, I have a hard time reading your writing. Submitted.
We submitted.
And received first escrow reimbursement.
It's a trap.
All went smooth, directly deposited into the account.
Yeah, so we, JP Morgan's holding the escrow money, so we submitted, the first bill, it went out there, JP Morgan got it back, and it went very smoothly. So that's all been set up.
And what was that amount?
That's for the treatment plant. So we have 630,000 in there now, the first initial deposit, and, start submitting invoices, it'll be replenished as needed.
Okay. Good.
That's all I have.
Questions from the public? Questions from the press? Motion to adjourn.
Second.
Motion to adjourn, second one, Fred, yeah, seconded.
Ah, that's right. I thought you would put that.
I'll second if you don't want
You
to second.
second it.
I'll second.
I'll first.
All those in favor? Aye.
Great.
Thank you.
Thanks so much.